those were our 3 Apache Ignite talks. So coming up next is a QA session with the 3 people you just heard talking there and 2 other kind of special guests. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we can talk to the people in real time. So in order that they appeared, please welcome to the stage Stan. Good morning. I understand you're kind of lost your voice a little bit, but you're going to say hello.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Oh, surprisingly, the voice works. So, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us. Next up, we have Alexei, who's our second talk about kind of deeper dive. Welcome, Alexei.
Hello, guys.
Thank you for joining us. And finally, Mikhail, who you saw just at the end there, doing the demo for Ignite 3. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
And finally, I wouldn't say finally, and certainly not least, we got 2 other Ignite 3 developers who you can ask your questions to. So first, we have Pavel.
Yeah, hi, everyone.
Good morning. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
So I'm a developer of platform integrations and clients in Ignite, and I've worked for 7 years on this. So I can answer any questions about clients and all the related stuff.
Great, thank you. And finally, but not least, we have Alexander. Good morning.
Hey, everyone.
Hi, would you mind introducing yourself?
I'm an Apache Ignite contributor, and I work on the storage engine team responsible for storing your data in Ignite.
Great, thank you. So let's dive straight into some questions. I see a few questions have already come through in our chat. Again, it's not too late. If you have questions, feel free to kind of drop them in right away, and we'll kind of get to them. I'm just going to open the questions up to all of you. I don't necessarily know who's the best place to answer them, so please kind of jump in if you feel you're best placed to answer them. So number 1 from Dren, I think this has already been answered slightly in the chat, but I think it's worth drawing more attention to. In the presentations, we talked about the fact that thick clients are no longer a thing in Ignite 3. So one of the questions was, what's happening with the other thin clients? So the question is specifically about Python, which I think is probably one of our more popular thin clients beyond kind of Java and .NET. Do we have thoughts on kind of Python and other thin clients?
Yeah, for sure. We have plans to. Python is 100%. Like, it's used for data science nowadays, and we will certainly support Python thin client. Probably the next, because right now we have Java and .NET clients, and Python is probably coming next. C++ also 100%. I can't say about other languages. We have plans, but I can't say like which ones come next. So that's it.
And of course, it's an open source project, right? So if you want to get involved, if there's a language you want, if you want kind of Rust or Go or something other kind of a cool and trendy language, obviously we're always looking kind of volunteers and people to kind of contribute code as well. So.
Yeah, and the protocol is open, obviously. We try to simplify it for Ignite 3.x, so it should be easier to implement the client in your language of choice compared to 2.x.
Sounds good. So I hope that answered your question, Dren. So Swapnil has asked, does Ignite 3 support plugging or integration with Apache? I'm not sure how you pronounce that. A kind of Pulsar bookkeeper. Who would like to take that?
I can answer the part about the bookkeeper, not about Apache, because I don't really understand what Swapnil understands by Apache integration here. So maybe we need some clarifications. But regarding the bookkeeper side, It's technically possible, though I don't think it will make a lot of sense because Bookkeeper is already a distributed storage. So using like distributed storage to store a node's data while Ignite itself is already distributed storage will be kind of cumbersome. You will also have to set up an additional zookeeper near your cluster. So, well, while technically it's possible, I don't think we're going to implement that, or if it even be very logical to do so.
Great, thank you. I hope that answers your question, Swapnil. Next in the chat, a question from Vijay. Do we have support for some other data formats like protobuf in Ignite 3? This is a question kind of close to my heart because I've been dealing with another client with Ignite 2 who is trying to do exactly this.
Do we have some? Yeah, sorry, I got distracted a bit. So, do we have support for some other data formats like protobuf? It depends on what kind of support do you expect. Like obviously, you can use protobuf or any other format to serialize the data and put it into a blob column. But if you expect like to query into the data, like some databases allow you to query into JSON, like Postgres. Yeah, I don't think we have this yet, but probably in the future. So yeah, if you have like more details on what you expect, just tell us.
I actually think the question was if we can use protobuf to serialize your data in thin clients, for example, or deserialize.
I mean, it's still not clear because yes, you can serialize it and put it into a blob column. Yes, you can, but I'm not sure if it counts as a support.
So I mean, the way I kind of see it in Ignite 2 at least is you get like a protobuf object that's kind of Java, right? You try and save that, but we don't understand the protobuf format internally because it's some kind of clever protobuf stuff, and we store it in binary object format. So I guess, is there a way to kind of mediate between Ignite's internal format and arbitrary external formats, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, still, it's not clear enough what's the use case for that. Protobuf just serializes your object to a byte array, right? You could put byte array into Ignite, but again, it's not something useful for queries or integration. I don't know.
That's kind of fair. I think it's a difficult question, actually. I think there's kind of lots of subtlety behind the scenes, and as you say, there's lots of variability in there. But I mean, the key here is we're still in beta. Well, not even quite there yet. So I think there's there's still potential for kind of changes in the future. And again, if there's particular things you'd like to support, I mean, please do get involved in the project and try and kind of let us know what you kind of want to do, and we can try and figure out ways we can support that in one way or another.
Yeah, and another point, I mean, if you are worried about performance and you are looking at protobuf, like some very fast and compact format to store data, we certainly use an internal binary format that is better than protobuf because we manage the schemas separately and we make sure to make it as fast and efficient as possible. So you probably don't have to integrate with protobuf to store your data efficiently.
Okay, so we're looking. Next question is from John, kind of looking about more kind of deployment kind of questions. So again, I suspect the answer is no because we're still not quite in beta yet. But are Kubernetes deployment YAMLs available?
So yeah,
I guess
yeah,
not yet, but they will be.
Not yet, yeah, but we will work on it. It's our new future plan to deploy to create this feature.
So a kind of related question. So we saw in Mikhail's presentation that it's kind of currently really only possible to run one node on a machine. Obviously, even for development purposes, running multiple nodes is going to be useful. And you said that's coming out. I mean, do we have ideas how that's going to be implemented? Are there any workarounds we can play around with in the kind of short term?
Yeah, so just currently we are trying to design it better, because we are working on it and trying to make the user experience as comfortable as possible, but also we need to understood that to separate the production distributions from the Ignite activities that developers can play locally. And so for different types of distribution, we're trying to achieve different goals. And we try to prioritize it and our goals based on the target use case. So currently we trying to make all user experience better for user, but also they think about different things. Yeah.
Nope, that makes sense. So we've got a couple of questions about, I guess, the migration from Ignite 2 to Ignite 3. So the first question is Surinder about, would it be, paraphrasing here, would it be possible for an Ignite 3 client to join an Ignite 2 cluster? And Ranjit basically goes straight in saying, will Apache 3 have breaking changes from previous versions?
I guess I can answer that. Yeah, I mean the protocol, the network protocol for both server-side communication and client-server communication is reworked, so it's different. You will not be able to combine 2.x and 3.0 nodes in one cluster. And to answer the other question, would it join the cluster a thick client? It's the same. Okay, so no, you won't be able to join those two versions. And in Ignite 3 we reworked the networking layer for clients as well, and there is no longer a separation of thin and thick clients. It's just the client. And it's more efficient now, so asynchronous underneath, and so it uses less resources, less threads to serve the requests, and should be better.
Okay, thank you for your question, Ranjit. So I'm just going through, we're quite a few questions here, so I'm kind of trying to skim through, trying to find one. So someone else asked this one earlier, so let's bring this one up as well. So can thin clients be used in native solutions like Graal VM, for example, and kind of Quarkus?
I'm probably supposed to answer this, but yeah, I'm not sure what does this question mean.
I think it should be possible, though we don't actually test it. So theoretically, that should be easy to check out.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a nice feature, because basically Graal allows you to compile Java code down to binary, I think is kind of what we're looking for. Well, one of the things that Graal does. So yeah, having a binary version of your Java client would be kind of, I think, it would be quite a nice feature.
It's like a native code, compile Java to native code.
Yeah.
I wonder if there are limitations for stuff like reflection.
I do think it doesn't work for Ignite 2 thin client. I forget the reasons. I think I remember trying it at some point. I don't think it worked, although that was quite an old version of Graal VM. So.
Yeah, we should certainly test this, and I mean, some use cases might not work which rely heavily on reflection, like mapping the data in Ignite to your classes. But if you use tuples, which are like low-level API, it should work because it's more basic. But yeah, we should test it.
Okay, so I think we're kind of starting to run up against time a bit, so I'm going to have to pick just a couple of questions before we kind of wrap up, I think. So I'm afraid I'm not going to get through all your questions. Again, it may be possible to ask some of these questions in the Q&A booth later on. And obviously, there's always still the kind of developer mailing list and all that kind of stuff. So this is not your final opportunity to ask these questions. So let's dig in here. So a lot of the stuff we've been looking at so far has been around building clusters and kind of caching. So we have a question here about the compute grid. Is what's new in the compute grid in Ignite 3?
Well, I can answer somewhat, but I think maybe it should be also routed to Stan. Right now, since this is a very powerful feature in Ignite 2, we are closely mimicking the behavior of Ignite 2 on that front. So we already have some compute capabilities. We have collocated compute, but I don't know about any advanced features from Ignite 2.
So let me, sorry for the voice, because it's maybe a bit hard for me right now. But basically the main idea in Ignite 3's compute is that in Ignite 2, the focus is on complex compute jobs. Like the key concept is compute task. Very sorry for this. Compute task is a multi-node, multi-job entity. And if you need to run just one job in Ignite 2, it is like a compute task, an entire compute task that only works on one job. In Ignite 3, the focus is actually on individual jobs. So when you only need to run one job, you just run a single job, and there is no compute task entity that is being created. So it is better optimized for simple use cases, and more advanced use cases will be built on simpler building blocks, not vice versa. Sorry for the voice.
Thank you for battling on, Stan. So I've got a couple of questions here. So one of the features in Ignite 2 is the kind of cache store, where you kind of sit on top of an existing database and you kind of cache that. So we have questions like how is that kind of use case going to be supported in Ignite 3? So I'm going to highlight one question here, but we've got a couple of questions similar on the same lines.
I'll just answer this straightly. This is yet to come to Ignite 3. This is not in the beta, and this is a feature that the community will be working on further, not right now, not in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you. Let's hope the next question is not for Stan again. Does simple question that I think is probably useful for a lot of it. Does Ignite 3 support open telemetry?
As far as I know, it should support.
Yeah, it's planned, but not yet implemented.
Okay, so I mean, again, obviously the theme kind of emerging here is Ignite 3 isn't finished yet. So we have, obviously there's lots of plans ahead for things that we're going to kind of do. 3.0 is not going to have every single feature. It is going to have a good subset of features, but it's not going to be a complete replacement for Ignite 2 on like day one. But it is going to have a whole host of other features that are going to be useful as well. And over time, things like that are going to get added back in. I assume kind of open telemetry, information, monitoring management, all that kind of stuff is going to be there for 3.0, if not this kind of upcoming beta. So just flipping through, making sure I didn't miss any. I think I got most of the questions. So got still like a couple of minutes. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go into my emergency backup questions here. It's actually a question for everyone. You guys have been working on Ignite 3 for a few years now. I mean, what is the kind of feature that you guys are most excited about seeing kind of getting out into the wild and people actually using. So let's kind of do a round table. So Mikhail, what would you say is your kind of favorite feature that's kind of coming?
It's hard to say, but I know. So from developers from my side, I can say that migration to Gradle, it's a big feature and big work which we made. So yeah, I think that's.
I mean, anything that makes it easier to develop on with is kind of welcome change, of course. That's great. Pavel, what's your favorite feature that's coming?
My favorite feature, actually I'm working on it right now, is LINQ, which is language integrated query in the C# client, where you can write queries to a database in C# language with the full support of compiler and autocomplete and IDE, and it gets translated to SQL. And obviously for Ignite 3 we have to develop this again to support our particular flavor of SQL and our features. And I think that's just great. It's the best way to run to write queries, because it's much easier than battling with SQL syntax and making mistakes. So that's for me.
Great thing, Alexander.
Well, I think I'm pretty excited about the transaction protocol and the snapshot isolation implementation that we're currently stabilizing.
Great stuff. Alexei?
I agree with Alexander. The really exciting thing in Apache Ignite 3 is a new transaction engine.
Yeah, I think that's going to be exciting for a lot of people. The kind of benefits that kind of brings is going to be, it's going to change the kind of applications we can kind of solve with Ignite. So that's kind of very exciting. Stan, your voice holding up to answer this?
Transactions as well.
Excellent.
Beautiful stuff.
Good to hear. So I think we're probably down to the last couple of questions here. So one of the things that kind of interested me was the way we're kind of changing kind of discovery and the way nodes kind of getting rid of partition map exchange and all that kind of stuff. Is that going to enable us to have larger clusters than we've had in the past?
Yes, of course. I've talked about this a bit. We can have very large clusters because the cluster size is no longer affects the speed of file processing.
Good stuff. So I'm not sure I understand this question, but I'll kind of read it anyway. So what is the biggest impact Ignite users will appreciate about the serializable consistency guarantees in Ignite 3.0?
Can you please repeat the question?
What is the biggest impact Ignite users will appreciate about the serializable consistency guarantees in Ignite 3?
Okay, the biggest impact on a user will be a safety and simplicity of using transactions. Under a serializable isolation, transactions are executed in serial order, and no hidden data corruptions are possible.
No hidden data corruption sounds like a great feature for end users. Yeah. And okay, so let's just wrap up. If you had to have like a last word on the subject on Ignite 3, what would that be? So let's kind of go in the order we started. So Stan, last words? Maybe last words completely with your voice.
Could you please repeat?
So just a few kind of last words on what's coming up with Ignite 3. Just a few thoughts.
I mean, this is just the best middleware out there, getting even better. That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Alexei?
Completely agree with Stan. We expecting a great product.
Good stuff. Mikhail?
Just I don't know, trying and using Apache Ignite, and says to us what you want. We are trying our best.
Alexander?
Well, I would like to encourage the community to try out the newly released beta, the upcoming release of Ignite, and provide us with some feedback so we can improve our product even better.
Excellent. And Pavel?
Yeah, I can agree with Alexander. I can't wait to get the feedback on our new product, especially on the APIs. Like I think we made them a lot cleaner and easier to use. It applies to all the kind of APIs, like SQL, the key value API, transactions. So yeah, can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Great. Well, thank you all for your contribution today and all the work you've kind of done in Ignite 3. I think we're all kind of very excited to kind of see what it's going to be like in the beta. The new beta is going to be a big milestone in kind of getting it out there as well. So thank you all.